record. Okay, so we were discussing in the previous class as to where things can go wrong in OFDM, and we discussed two things. One is the synchronization in the carrier. Okay, the timing synchronization, which is no big deal because higher the FFT points, it can be tackled, right? So the expression told that longer OFDM symbols are increasingly immune to timing effects. Okay, so that was that. So you go for longer symbol and you should be protected. Not a big deal. Frequency synchronization was an issue, right? Frequency synchronization is the offset in the carrier. Okay, offset in the carrier means so you expect a carrier to be at say 14 megahertz and it turns out to be 14.001 megahertz. Okay, and there are so many orthogonal subcarriers. One of the carriers just moving around and you not being able to sample at the right instance creates problems for you. And you can see here at this particular, it's not orthogonal anymore. So when does this problem occur? As and when you go for more and more number of orthogonal carriers, which happens when you go for higher FFT points, you are going to lose the orthogonality sometimes. So that's why little frequency synchronization issue is going to affect you more if at all you are going for higher value of DFT. Okay, SNR decreases quadratically with frequency offset with quadratically with number of subcarriers. Okay, this is a issue. So to tackle the timing synchronization, if at all you go for more subcarriers, you are going to get stuck in the frequency synchronization. Anyway, there is one more issue. There is one more issue that's called as peak to average power ratio. Okay, so in some of the textbooks they call it as here in this particular textbooks, I don't know why it's called as peak to average ratio, but actually the term which is used in literatures mostly is peak to average power ratio. Okay, so what's the deal with this peak to average power ratio? Let us understand. Now suppose I take a sequence, normal sequence, say 2 2 2 2, right? We started in the previous class with this. Okay, 2 2 2 2. Now see this particular sequence here. Which is the signal with highest power here in this particular sequence? All are same, right? So it is 2 only. What do you think is the average power? 2 square plus 2 square plus 2 square plus 2 square divided by 4. Okay, cool. Average power and peak power. So for this particular sequence, the PAPR, I would say without taking log, it is 1. Okay. Now suppose I have a signal. Now suppose I have a signal which is having a value something like 2 to 186 and 2. 2 to 186 and 2. Now what has happened here is, the average value. See, the moment there is a very large value, a signal with a very sample with a very large value, large power is there, so that the average value, the peak value is exceedingly larger than the average value, then we are in some sort of trouble. Trouble. Okay, so this is the issue. Let us see what's going to happen. So why PAPRN issue? To understand that, we should also know biasing. Okay, we should also know biasing. So what's the deal with biasing, by the way? A typical amplifier usually after every OFDM block, what will be the last block, by the way? So here was our typical OFDM block, and once you have this particular thing here, once the entire data is transmitted, here you have the power amplifier. Okay, here in this particular end you have the power amplifier. So power amplifier is what is from where your actual data is transmitted, right? So this will be there in your tower. So once the data from the power amplifier is then simply sent over antennas. Now the question here is what are the two highest incurring costs in a mobile communication, in a satellite cellular communication? Two things are very costly. So the first thing that is costly is bandwidth. Okay, first thing that is costly is bandwidth, but anyway you pay for it in advance. Okay, so it is not an issue. The next thing that costs every mobile company is the electricity bills which occur at the towers, because that is where this power amplifier, that is where the power amplifiers lie. And where does the power consumption go, by the way? The power consumption, whether you are using the amplifier or not, whether you are transmitting the data or not, the amplifier, these power amplifiers are usually biased, right? They have to be biased in usually which region? Let us say active region. Let's not go into class A, class B, and go and so, right? So you have some VCC for a power amplifier. Okay, let us consider that a RC coupled amplifier only. That is considered normal amplifier. So this is where you give the input. Okay, this is where your input that goes, which should be modulated and sent. And from here somewhere you get your output. Okay, from here somewhere you get your output. Okay, so input here and output here. But you can see this battery here is always getting consumed for the biasing purpose. The biasing voltages and the biasing currents, they are always consumed. That means now suppose I have a signal. Now suppose I have a signal which can be anything like this. Which can be anything like this. Okay, say this is my signal, signal 1, and say let me draw a second signal. Let me draw a second signal, which is let me go to the whiteboard. Let me go to whiteboard. Okay, say I have first signal here, which I'm going to transmit. Say the signal is something like this. So say the signal is something like this. Okay, modulated, so many users, so many carriers, fine. Okay, this is say my first signal, signal 1. Okay, and let me draw second signal. Say this is my, wait, second, not able to get straight line here. Okay, now let me get a second signal. Now let me get my second signal. Okay, now let me get my second signal. Okay, which is something like this. Okay, you're getting what is the difference between signal 1 and signal 2? Both of them are crappy, right? Because the way I have drawn them, crappy. But then you can see this first signal is having average value. If at all I say here that this particular line represents the average value, of course taking positive and say this is the peak value, right? This is the peak value, right? So you can see the gap between average value and peak value is not that much, right? Average value and peak value is not that much. That means if at all you have to bias your transistor, okay, say in the linear region somewhere, right? In the you draw that operating point, right? You get input and output at some point. You bias your transistor maybe in a linear region. So what you have to do is maybe your operating range is something like this. Okay, operating voltages are somewhere around here, and your peak power is something like this. So it is still fine for you. Okay, still fine for you. Your sinusoid, whatever the wave that is there, it can be transmitted, and you have kept this particular window, right? See, you can see here you have kept this additional biasing voltage, because every now and then there are certain samples coming which are having little higher voltage, fine. Now consider the second case. For this particular second signal, what is happening is its average value is also same only. Its average value is also same, but its peak value you can see is much higher. Peak value is much higher. So that what shall we do now? What shall we do now? If at all now you have to bias this particular thing, you have to bias it with larger voltages and larger currents. Now you have to bias this with larger voltages and larger currents, so that now if at all I'd say draw a line, your actual range, actual operating range is very small. Your actual operating, most of the samples, most of the signals that you are having, that are there in a very narrow range only. Okay, this is usual. But then every now and then these samples come in. So that is why now we have to go for a very higher range. Okay, that means this additional space you have kept here, this additional space you have kept here. Okay, and this additional space, why you have kept here? Because every now and then there are certain signals coming that are consuming that are having larger power. So what is the problem with this? Will somebody tell me what is the problem with this going for a larger power? Every how frequently a signal coming with a very large power. Okay, every now and then the samples come with symbols come with a large power. What is the issue with that? The issue with that is, say the biasing voltages and currents needed in this particular case, you can see here for the bare eyes only, say this is say something like 1 inch, then this one you can see is almost 2.5 inches width. That means more than double the amount of power is getting consumed here, right? So the rule is your signal and your dynamic range of voltages that vary should be such that the peak power to average power, the so-called ratio, peak to average power ratio, should be as minimum as possible, should be as minimum as possible. Otherwise, you will end up spending more on electricity bills for few signals that are not going to occur much frequently also. They are a very rarity, but then still you cannot, you have to send them, right? You have to send them. So that is where you are going to incur losses. Okay, got this particular thing. So somebody tell me how to tackle this. How shall we tackle this issue? How shall we tackle this issue? Okay, by the way, let me tell you, why does it occur? This occurs because you have a normal signal and you take IFFT. Then what's going to happen is the signal in time domain may be something like this. Okay, uniformly spread. Okay, that is the nature of general signals. But then every now and then, see, I am speaking now, every now and then there is a pause coming, right? There is sometimes a DC coming, then there is again I am speaking. So then there are certain set of frequency that are dominant, certain are recessive. So what's going to happen? The moment you take FFT, a signal from this domain, you take FFT, it may turn out to be something like this. The peak to average power ratio may increase, not may increase, it will increase. So what it does, it calls for the power amplifier biasing, power amplifier with larger biasing. Okay, it calls for power amplifiers with larger biasing. Okay, I hope you might have got some clue. Okay, so now let us go back. Okay. So here you can see, here author has given, so in this particular linear region, okay, so here in this particular a linear region, say, wait a second, okay, say this was the average value. Okay, see here you can see this is the average value, and say this is the peak value that is possible in this particular region. This is fine, but as and when the peak to average value is goes much more higher, then what's going to happen is two things will happen. If at all the transistor is biased, this line will be straight, but then it's going to consume more and more battery power. Or if it is not biased, then what's going to happen? The data is going to go into non-linear region, which results in losses, because the shape is lost when you go into non-linear region. You remember in op amps, if at all you had kept VCC equal to 10 volt, minus V equal to 10 volt, and if at all it was a say inverting amplifier with gain of 10, if at all you give input of 2 volt, you will get output maximum 20 volt peak to peak. If at all you give input as 2.1 volt, you will still get 20 volt peak to peak. If at all you give input as 3 volt, you still get output as 20 volt peak to peak. What's going to happen? Sinusoid shape is lost. You will end up getting something like a, the top and bottom are going to be chopped off. So that's going to happen. So the term they use, what is this back off ratio? Okay, so this particular term here they are using. Okay, input back off and output back off. So they say this particular value should be kept as minimum as possible. But unfortunately, instead of you going for conventional transmission, if at all you think of taking the Fourier transform, DFT or IDFT, what's going to happen? This value is going to increase, causing you issues. Okay, so this particular thing is called as, so what is this PAPR? Let us see the formal definition. So see here, all positive values. Okay, power they have taken squared values only. Say here, say this is the average power. Every now and then there are samples coming which are having more power. You can see out of 500 samples, very few, 1, 2, 3, few samples are coming with higher peaks. But then they, what will happen if at all we cut them? What shall we do? If at all you simply bias it somewhere in this particular region, all these things will be cut and you will get poor bit error rate. You can see the BR requirement, commercial BR requirement is something like 10 to the power minus 5. So for every 1 million, even if you get 1 bit error additional, then it is going to affect the quality of service. So this is not acceptable also. Okay, so this is not acceptable also. See, very important. The PAPR thing is very important. And what's going to happen as and when the PAPR increases, the efficiency of the amplifiers also decreases. Class A, as we know, right, whatever I had drawn earlier. So that amplifier, anyway, it is having its efficiency issues, but then it carries a signal properly, right? Even for class B amplifier, right, the push-pull sort of amplifiers, even their performance goes down, efficiency goes down. Because why the efficiency will go down? Because now we are biased to such a large extent where simply the biasing voltages and currents are being utilized. The signal never occurs at all there. It occurs with a very rare probability. Okay, so that is why not so efficient utilization of the power amplifier, but you still get the bill, right? You still get the bill. So here I had taken this particular thing from, some RF basics, right? From some website. Okay. So here is a very nice, literature given by this guy. So PAPR occurs in multi-carrier systems due to subcarriers, right? If at all you send the data as it is without DFT, there is no problem. The moment you take DFT, this problem is going to occur. Let me just illustrate. If at all I have a sequence 2, 2, 2, 2, which I told you earlier, what is the PAPR here? What is the peak power here? All are same, right? Peak power is 2 square. Okay. What is the average power? Average power is also, you can see all of them are having same power divided by 4. Average power is also 4. So PAPR for this one is actually 1 or 0 dB. Now, if at all I simply take a 4-point DFT, what's going to happen? If at all I take a 4-point DFT, what's going to happen? What is 4-point DFT of 2222? Somebody, what is 4-point DFT of 2222? Somebody give it a try. 4-point DFT of 2222. Somebody, everybody say hi. Everybody say hi for the attendance thing. Okay, this is the time for attendance. Attendance will be viewed, by the way, very seriously. Okay, so those who are not attending these classes will somehow, held accountable. Okay. Yes, Darshan, you are there, right? So please tell me, what is 4-point DFT of 2222? 4-point DFT of sequence 2222. What is 4-point DFT of sequence 2222? Will somebody tell me? Any idea? 4-point DFT of sequence 2222. Forgot. Everybody forgot. 4-point DFT sequence. See, it's not changing, right? 2222. So it is 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So this is 8, 0, 0, 0. Right? Now you can see. What is the average power? Average power is now still 4, but peak power you can see is 64. Okay, got this particular thing. In first case, the PAPR was 1. In this particular case, the peak power is how much? 16, right? Not 16, sorry, 64. Average power is still same, 16. So peak to average power ratio has now gone to 4. PAPR has now gone from 1 to 4. What this particular thing? Because this is the possibility we are talking about. If at all the sequences values are not changing at all, If it is a DC, then what's going to happen? See here, initially the PAPR instead of 1, now you got 4. But then see, values here were all 2, 2, 2, 2. But now there is a possibility that a signal with the strength of 8 may also come. So you have to bias it, right, with 8. So you can see here. So what do they say? PAPR occurs when in a multi-carrier system, the different subcarriers are out of phase with each other. At each instant, they, when all the points achieve the maximum value simultaneously, this is going to happen. I just show you the case where all the signals, the sequence was dominantly the DC signal, right? It can be dominant DC signal or it can be a dominant signal with either any one of the frequencies. Then things are going to go bad. Okay. So you can see in this particular ratio. Okay. So this is what a typical PAPR is all about. So usually they're telling that in OFDM, the PAPR is going to be something like 12 dB usually. Okay. Remember that number. Okay. Remember the number. So how does it going to affect, by the way? So here you can see, say if at all, suppose desired peak to average power ratio is say 40 dB and PAPR of the system is 12 dB. Okay. Now we can see what is it telling? Desired average power output of a power amplifier. So there is a power amplifier with a likely power output of 40 dB and peak to average power ratio is 12 dB. What does that mean? That means the peak value can be anywhere 12 dB greater than the average value. Okay, that means now you have to bias your, okay, then in that case, PA device which was at the saturation point shall be 52 dB, 12 dB additional. Okay, see if at all it was not in dB, it would have been multiplication. Okay, here you can see since this is in dB, this is addition. Okay, see you can see where is 10 watt and where is 158 watt. Are you getting? Are you getting? If at all we talk in terms of absolute terms, you will realize how big this is. Whereas if at all I represent it in dB, you will not get the idea. So after selecting the PA device for 52 dB, we operated at 40 dB only. That means you select a device which is going to work for usually where signals will be of 10 watt peak to peak, but then you feel that there is a signal which might be up to 150 watt also, 150 watt also sometimes. So that is why what's going to happen is your power amplifier is still consuming power. Okay, because of this 12 dB headroom for the peak power. Okay, this is what that particular back off ratio in the previous diagram, that's what they were talking about. Okay, so this consumes a lot of power. So PAPR is bad. The presence of IFFT at the transmitter in OFDM is bad, and it's a battery vampire. It's going to consume lots and lots of battery. Okay, fine. Okay, it is fine. Okay, so what is the number, by the way? See here, just as we did. Okay, maximum value square divided by average value, right? 2, 2, 2, 2. Maximum value is also 2. Average value is also 2. Then it is, sorry, maximum value is 4, right? 2 square. 4 divided by average value is also 4. PAPR for 2, 2, 2, 2 case was 1, whereas PAPR for 800 case was 4, right? 8 square divided by 4. Okay, 64 divided by 4 it was. Okay, got this particular thing. So usually this is the case for a typical IFFTs. Okay, typical IFFT is the case. So how do we avoid this? Let us see what are the likelihoods and how does it affect? How does it affect? Wait a second. Okay, so here we are. PAPR for a typical IFFT, right? You take IFFT at the transmitter, that's where the power amplifier, transmitting power amplifier is, and it depends on maximum value of L plus NG. So L plus NG means what? Totally how many point IFFT that you are going to take. If at all you're taken 64 point IFFT or 128 point IFFT, and then you stuff in some additional bits also, right? You stuff in some additional bits also. You are going to stuff in some cyclic prefix also, but broadly we will since the length of cyclic prefix is somewhat negligible, we'll stick to length of FFT only in the for the analysis. Okay, so here we can see what are these inverted curves, by the way. So these curves are called as CCDF, a complementary cumulative distribution function. So we know PDF, right? PDF looks something like this. PDF looks something like this. For different IFFT, you are going to have different PDFs. And then afterwards, what's going to happen, as and when, instead of PDF, if at all I go on adding them, okay, this value plus this value plus this value plus this value plus, if at all I go on adding their probabilities cumulatively, I am going to get something called as CDF, cumulative distribution function, okay, which will be looking something like this, okay. And if at all I do, okay, which will be going something like this, maximum value here is 1, okay. On this particular case, maximum value will be 1. On this particular end, there will be 0. 1 minus this usually gives you inverted sort of drawings, okay, something like this. It is called as CCDF, okay. So that is cumulative PDF 1 minus CDF is what? CCDF, okay. So why CCDF, by the way? CCDF gives you a better measure, okay. So here you can see, let us try to understand. So what this curve means, let me draw a line here and try to make some sense out of this. What this means is, if at all I use, which is to say, if at all I use, which is this normal line, this one, here, okay, let me take this and let me take this as an example. If at all I use a 16-point DFT, if at all I use a 16-point DFT, the probability of me getting a signal with a peak to average power ratio greater than or equal to 11 dB, the probability is 10 to the power minus 4. Once in every 10,000 samples. It is still going to occur, right? It's still going to occur. Whereas, if at all I am using 1024-point DFT, then there is the probability that for every 10 to the power minus 4, every 10,000 samples, I may get a signal with peak to average power of not 11 but 13 dB. Okay, that is what this particular graph is indicating. This is the transmission done as it is. This is cool. Smaller value of PAPR are better handled. As and when we go towards this, you can see here, this is logarithmic scale. So this is not cool in logarithmic scale. In linear scale, this would have been much worse. So conclusion of the story, the larger the value of IFFT or FFT, the load on the power amplifier is going to increase, efficiency of the power amplifier is going to decrease, electricity bills are going to increase, not so cool. So where it is going to affect, by the way, if at all you are a big mobile tower, you are rich, people are paying for you, you have a battery also, you have electricity line also, it's all cool for you. But if at all you are having a mobile with a very tiny battery and you can only charge it maybe once a day, right? Keeping a larger battery, you need a bag, by the way, and a power bank and so on and so. Keeping a smaller battery, but you have to, if at all you have to charge it, every frequently, every once in 2 hours. This is not cool, right? So battery power issue comes not near the towers basically, but it is usually a problem for our, mobile phones, the, mobile carriers, mobile equipment, we should say. Okay, it's a problem for mobile equipment. So that was about the thing PAPR. I hope you understood what this graph is and what is this CCDF is. CCDF is a 1 minus CDF, which is cumulative probability distribution function. Okay, be curious and go through internet. Maybe you will get an idea on this. Okay, so that was how do we tackle this? How do we tackle this? How do you tackle this? Now let me take you back. And let us see what did we understand. I want to have an interaction. So did you understand this particular thing, Darshan? The rule is, out of, you can see here, out of 500 samples, once there was a signal that was dominant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most of the signals were somewhere around here only. Very frequently, maybe some 10 signal, 15 signals, right? 15 symbols out of 500 have been greater than this much extent. Okay, this much extent. The peak power is more, and what it is doing, by the way, it is forcing us to make our amplifier operate in a larger linear region, consuming more battery. How do we tackle this? Do you have any solution, by the way? How shall we tackle this? How shall we tackle this? What's your idea? How shall we tackle this? What does your common sense say? Anybody? Ramya, Leelakshi, Ranjana, Sushma. How do you say? What shall we do? What shall we do? I told you we have error control codes. We have CDMA sort of receivers. We have, we can do anything. We can do anything except we want to save on the battery power. We want to concentrate on battery longevity, or we want to concentrate on reducing the electricity bills. What shall we do? Somebody give it a try. What shall we do? Darshan, Shashank, Ranjana, Sushma, somebody tell, what's your idea? Now let me give you a relaxation that you are not bothered about the errors. Say you are not bothered about errors. Okay. Only thing you mind is saving the electricity or your mobile phone longevity. What shall we do? Give me a solution. Be a sport. Give me a solution. What shall we do? Yeah, waiting. Anybody? Are you there? So those, type in a hi, by the way. So those who did not type, just type in the hi for the attendance thing. Otherwise, it will not be recorded. This participant screen is not recorded in my recordings. Okay. Yeah. It's a zombie check. Okay. Whatever I do, when I don't get answers from you, I ask you to type a hi to ensure that you are there. Yes. Ranjana, are you there? Tell me, what shall we do? How do we tackle this? Suppose we are not bothered about the errors. Say we are not bothered about the errors. How shall we tackle the PAPR issue? What can we do? Darshan, what can we do? How shall we tackle this? Give up? How shall we tackle this? Somebody be a sport, give it a try. How shall we tackle this? Yes? Someone? So we'll continue this class tomorrow. Okay, we'll continue the class tomorrow.